So Congress was not only a political party in this period, it shaped the whole political system, whether it's domestic policy, whether it's foreign policy, whether it's nation building, whether accommodating diverse interests, people of all shades, of all ideology, all caste, all religion, all region were accommodated in Congress. Hello PSIR students, today we are going to discuss about Indian political system which was shaped after our independence. So there were various imperial British legacies like treaty diplomacy, like elitist bureaucracy, like CRPC, IPC, Evidence Act, like unsettled boundaries with our neighbors, like divide and rule card, like identity politics, like casteism, communalism, regionalism. They emerged even during British days. So there were various British imperial legacy. And in our constitution, we adopted various progressive modern institutions and principles like democracy, universal adult franchise, civil liberties, parliamentary form of government, fundamental rights, equality, freedom, and so on. However, there were traditional elements which were continuing, like that based on caste, identity politics, that is politics of passion, not reason. It is based on power of myth, like casteism, communalism, regionalism. So, one thing is agreed by all political scientists who studied Indian political system after independence, that India has admixture of both modernity and traditionalism. Modernity is represented by, as I said, secularism, democracy, universal adult franchise, parliamentary form of government. However, tradition, like identity politics based on casteism, communalism, regionalism, that continued. So, according to Professor Rajni Kothari, the political system that India had from 1947 to 1967 was Congress system. It was not single party system, it was OPD, O for one party dominance. So Congress was not only a political party in this period, it shaped the whole political system, whether it's domestic policy, whether it's foreign policy, whether it's nation building, whether accommodating diverse interests, people of all shades, of all ideology, all caste, all religion, all region were accommodated in Congress. So Congress was an umbrella organization. It was not only a political party, but it was shaper of the political system. Even the space of opposition was occupied by Congress, as Jawaharlal Nehru himself promoted presentation of private members bill. So Congress, according to Rajni Kothari, shaped the system. It was not only a political party, and Rajni Kothari is functionalist, or he applied a structural functional model of behavioralism in Indian political context. So as you know, functionalists focus on functions played by various parts of the structure for stability of the whole structure. So it is not going on to the causes or background, it goes on the consequence of those actions for stability of the political system. So according to Rajni Kothari, be it state, be it political parties, be it caste, be it communal divide, be it regional divide, be it aspirational politics, be it states reorganization of the states, be it integration of princely states, be it even privy purse, the pensions given to ex-rajas, they were all playing the role of stability of the political system. These are the parts of the whole, and different parts of the whole play functional role in stability of the whole. So they all played functional role in the stability of the political system according to Rajni Kothari. It was Rajni Kothari who established CSDS, Center for Development of Developing Societies, Center for Study of Developing Societies in 1963. He wrote book Caste in Politics and Politics in India. So he applied a structural functional model, and according to Rajni Kothari, caste was not only having negative role. It is, of course, excessive use will be divisive, but it helped in empowerment of numerically superior lower caste, although he talked about dominant caste rather than lower caste, because caste structure is quite dynamic. And according to Rajni Kothari, there was politicization of caste. It's not only role of caste in politics. There was politicization of caste also. So caste also used parties, leaders to elevate their social position, making it dynamic. So the so-called lower caste, according to him, non-dominant caste, asserted their numerical strength to get into the mainstream of the politics, to get representation, to get access over resources. So the discontentment came down, their faith over democracy increased, and democracy with the passage of time became substantive democracy with overwhelming participation of the common people, particularly non-dominant caste as well, because dominant caste were already playing important role in our politics even before independence. So Rajni Kothari, regarding Congress system, regarding admixture of tradition and modernity, the same thing was supported by Rudolph and Rudolph, talking about command polity. When there was Congress dominance, when there was single party dominance till 1990, there was command polity. Congress was commanding from the top-bottom approach. After 1990, there was plurality, diversity, emergence of regional parties, dilution of Congress hegemony. So that led to demand polity. Various social groups based on caste, religion, region, language, they asserted in political sphere and they wanted access over resources. So after Green Revolution, caste, which was a social category, converted into political category according to Rudolph and Rudolph. And he talked about Bullock capitalism. Bullock represents traditionality, while capitalism represents modernization. So modernization in both social and political and economic sphere, be it modern industries, be it universal adult franchise, be it democracy, be it parliamentary form of government, be it secularism. So modernization of tradition and modernity of tradition and traditionalization of modernization, admixture of both. So traditional politics was represented by caste, religion, region, identity politics. So we had both kinds of political culture. On one hand, in rural India, the parochial political culture was more. In urban India, civic political culture developed. So it was always admixture in vast country like India. So Rudolph and Rudolph is also associated with political sociology, applying behavioral principles in behavioral theories in Indian political system. Parth Chatterjee, who is subaltern thinker. Subaltern thinkers are those Marxist thinkers who see the things from below. So he talked about political society in India, while he talked about civil society in the West. Civil society in West is more formal and organized, while Indian society is political society, which is informal and not led by middle class, educated middle class, but the people living in slums, the poor, the marginalized, they become politicized. They used politics, political parties, leaders, their strength of votes to get access over the resources. So this is unique in India, that is political society. It is said about India that Indian people may not be formally educated, but politically highly aware. In first general election 1951-52, 17 crore voters were there. Our literacy was only 15%, around 15%, while voting percentage was 45%. So it's not that only educated participated in festivals of democracy, that is election. Those who were not formally educated, those who were not in the mainstream also politicized and get participation, and that further made the democracy substantive. That is nothing wrong. Regional aspirations, caste aspirations, even religion-based aspirations, local aspirations, they used politics in wake of universal adult franchise, in wake of linguistic reorganization of the states, in wake of parliamentary form of government, in wake of civil liberties, in wake of political equality, in wake of citizenship. These are modern elements. Similarly, Paul Brass, who studied Indian politics, particularly communal riots in UP in general and Aligarh in particular, he said communal riots are not spontaneous. Communal riots are professionally managed, organized and executed to suit the political purpose. And opposite parties have vested interest to continue with communal riots because both sides gets their votes polarized, consolidated. So that is, communalism is necessarily negative. It is necessarily divisive. It is threat to our national unity and territorial integrity. We are one of the worst sufferer of communalism. Similarly, Maynard applied institutional approach. W.H. Morris Jones also applied political culture, because political culture, political sociology, political economy, structural functional model, they are all coming from behavioral science. Behavioral science first emerged in America, emerging from Chicago School by C. Merriam and David Easton, who applied quantitative data-based method, scientific method, empirical method, based on physical science, value-free study. So the same was applied in Indian political context also, particularly after independence. Then there are other thinkers like Professor Yogendra Yadav talked about democratic upsurge. Fourth general election, Congress strength diluted, Congress lost in 9 states. So that was considered to be first democratic upsurge, because Congress BDM, Brahmin Dalit Muslim equation, was partly broken by Lohiya's Ajgar, Ahir, Jat, Gurjar, Rajput equation in North India. In South India, Dravidian parties in Tamil Nadu, Communist in Kerala and Bengal and Tripura, Akali Dal in Punjab. Their emergence led to first democratic upsurge, in which the so far neglected regions, neglected caste, neglected class, neglected sections of the society got say in politics. They got empowered, they got chance to get empowerment. And the second democratic upsurge, according to Yogendra Yadav, was after Mandalization. Mandal Part 1, 27% reservation to OBC by VP Singh government in August 1990, based on Article 16(4). Then Mandal Part 2, 2005, that 93rd Constitutional Amendment added 15(5) to extend 27% OBC reservation in educational institutions as well, besides government jobs. So, whether it's Mandalization, democratic upsurge, but one of the unique thing regarding Indian political system is blend, admixture of modernity and tradition. Both are existing. Our leaders thought that with modernization, with urbanization, with industrialization, with nation building process, identity politics will subside. But this has not happened. In fact, hyper-globalization has further boosted identity politics based on casteism, communalism, regionalism. This is the reason why 1990 onwards, 3M became dominant in our politics, according to Yogendra Yadav. Mandal, Mandir and Market. Mandal with the recommendation accepted for 27% reservation for OBCs in government job. Mandir Ram Janmabhoomi movement, or it is said that it was Advani's Kamandal against Mandal of VP Singh, withdrawing support from the VP Singh government. So that permanently ruptured Congress BDM equation. Brahmins partly shifted to BJP, Dalits to BSP, intermediary caste to SP, and Janata Dal, or the latter is Samajwadi Party and RJD in North India. And South India, Dravidian parties were already there. And after Green Revolution, there were various dominant groups emerged, caste emerged, like Jats in Punjab and Haryana, Gurjars, Ahirs or Yadavs, Kurmi, Koiris, Reddis and Khams in Andhra Pradesh, Vokalis and Lingayat in Karnataka, Marathas in Maharashtra. These dominant castes emerged after Green Revolution and they asserted political power. So this is how we see political system after independence. So that's it for today. We'll discuss more in the next class.